Here we go. What is going on, everybody? This is Joey of Underage Packers. I'm one of your co-hosts, Joey. We have a very exciting show for you planned today, or not so planned. We're going to go with the flow, see where it leads us. But joining me, as always, for our early pregame live stream is Big B.
What is going on? How's everyone doing tonight?
We got a motley crew already hanging out the chat. Our great friend Robin, all the way from across the sea, found out about Underage Packers right before the Buccaneers game this year. Hopefully their game goes better than this one. Yes, I'm rethinking this now. Maybe we have to tell Nagler, hey, let's hold off on it, because when we went on Nagler's Never Right, it was before that Bucs game. So we won't. Hopefully that doesn't give it a curse. But I'll have my lucky hoodie on. No need to worry, folks. 3-0 with that hoodie on. So with Nagler, we'll be on with Nagler in about 9 minutes here. So, but with Big B here, let's talk. I guess let's take a quick overview of the Packers season so far, leading up to this point, because I don't think their season will end tomorrow, but if it does, it will be a very abrupt ending, and we will look back at this team pretty similar to 2014, a team that deserved to get that Super Bowl ring. And it will be really hard to look back at this season and all the incredible games, all the incredible plays, all the MVP performances from Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be really hard to look at this season without knowing that they ended it off with a Super Bowl ring. So I'll ask you, I asked a pretty similar question a few weeks back when we were with MK Burgess, but is there a specific game that you think really represents this Packers team perfectly, where this offense is completely explosive? You got Aaron Rodgers, you got all this madness from Matt LaFleur. Is there a game that sticks in your mind that really represents this 2020 Packers team well?
I'm going to say the Titans game.
I would tend to agree. Am I still on this? Okay, I need to get the link to Nagler here. We're not the most professional folks in the world here, but I need to get our stream link to Nagler. There we are. I would completely agree with that. 40 points on not a really good defense, but 40 points. And I think the most thing you can take from that is all the freak out, all the panic about the big, scary Derrick Henry. And just especially for us who spend most of our days on Packers Twitter, the boogeyman. That was a big thing all that week, pretty much for that whole month, of how are they going to stop Derrick Henry. And I look back on, there's so much to be said about the offense, but let's talk about this defense, because it's going to be a big part in winning on Sunday, I think, personally. So, and they've played really well over these last few games. They haven't had to face strong, one of the top offenses at this point. But these past few weeks, look at the running backs they faced. Cam Akers, David Montgomery, Derrick Henry. They held Derrick Henry to under 98 yards. I mean, Matt Nagy is incompetent as a rock, so, he obviously didn't prioritize David Montgomery. So the Packers did really well against run and defense. But Big B, let's welcome here North Carolina School of the Arts alumni is joining us now. Aaron Nagler, welcome to the show.
Oh, my God. You went back to the NCSA days.
I sure
did. Amazing. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing good. Welcome to the show. I mean,
thank you.
All I got to say is thanks for doing this. So we'll talk.
Hey, I'm not contractually obligated, so you are welcome, sir.
Yes. We'll talk about beat reporters a little bit later, so I can get some new material down. But let's start off with Packers versus Buccaneers, or actually, let's start off with Ted Thompson here, because you had more of a firsthand view with Thompson, and that's pretty hard to get. Not that you were one of his close friends, but you were closer to him than us. So what would you look when Ted died this week, when I was looking just on the reaction on Twitter, the thing I realized, the phrase "it's bigger than football" is always thrown around.
Right.
But I think the thing that it should be is football really is just that meaningful to some people, especially with Jason's radio bit about Ted. And it's just like, it's the thing that I can talk to some nerd from Michigan every week. It's the thing that keeps my dad and bonding. My dad and I bonding every Sunday. It's the thing that keeps Big B fighting through his cancer treatments. It's so meaningful to a lot of people. And I think Ted really represented that. So what do you? I guess what would you think of? What did you think of Ted's character, and how he represented the Packer way?
I mean, it's so funny because for a guy who was so reluctant to reveal himself publicly, he really created a culture in Green Bay that still persists to this day. We heard Brian Gutekunst talk about that in the availability a couple of days ago. And it's funny, you mentioned everyone, he passes and all you see is this kind of outpouring, this flood of people who he obviously touched and he meant a lot to. And I don't think people really consider that a lot of the time, and for good reason. Football is escapist entertainment. You're not thinking of the personal life or the personal relationships of the general manager of your favorite team. You're just, you want your team to win, But that is the thing that I always kind of pushed back on when people said Ted didn't care about winning. That was always the worst to me, because no one cared more than Ted. He didn't make a show of it. He wasn't flashy about it, but no one cared more than Ted. And I think if you just go around, you don't even have to go very far. I mean, obviously the players were very kind of public in the sense of there were lots of tweets about thanks Ted for taking a chance on me. And that's a very public transaction when a guy gets drafted. We're all privy to that. We all know that. But I don't think the public sees a lot of are guys like John Schneider or Reggie McKenzie, guys who worked with Ted for a real long time under Ron Wolf and have a real close bond and real friendship. We saw Schneider a couple of years ago. I think it was the first year that Ted didn't attend the combine. Wes Hodkiewicz asked John about not having Ted at the combine, and John teared up at the podium. Said it was really hard having him not be down here. And I think at that time, his close circle knew he was dealing with stuff as far as his health goes. And, I think there was a lot of speculation outside, but the people closest to him knew what he was going through. And I think that was the first kind of public showing of how much not only the guys, felt about how the depth of their feeling for Ted, but just how close they all were and what he meant. And that, like I said, permeates throughout the Packers organization. You can't find someone who worked with Ted who maybe didn't always agree with every decision he made, but they knew he was coming from a place where all he wanted to do was do what was best for the Green Bay Packers. And if you're a Packers fan, how can you not respect that?
Exactly. Since I view everything from a movie documentary style point of view, I'm just thinking of all the great Legacy series sequels that it could be of Ted passing and then his team that he put 20 plus starters on.
Right.
Wins the Super Bowl 2 weeks later, and then Brian follows his same philosophy. I don't want to get political with Jordan Love. He follows his same philosophy and
carries on the tradition for another 20 years. I'm down with that.
Yeah,
I'm all in. Let's go. Print it.
Let's do it. Jordan Love, Hall of Famer, can hear it here first.
I'm all in.
That's another thing on Twitter. People like to say book it and think it's going to happen, but
oh, those are my favorite. The Packers are going to lose by 3 touchdowns. Book it.
Book it. Yes.
Okay.
Book it or facts. That's the good mix you get there.
Oh, Lord.
All right, let's get to Buccaneers game coming up this week. I didn't know if you guys knew, but the Packers playing a pretty important game tomorrow.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, some people are talking about it. But Big B, where do you think the Packers can specifically take advantage of this Buccaneers team? Because they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. It's kind of a God squad from a paper point of view, as my Madden friends over there would call it. But, where do you think the Packers can take advantage of this Buccaneers team?
Getting to Tom Brady, bring the pressure, because everyone knows if you just touch him, he's gonna fall down.
Yes,
that is true. That's a really good point.
Porcelain doll right there in Tampa Bay. I think I was doubting him when he went to Tampa Bay, but when I saw him, he put up some really good numbers this year, and I think a lot of that doubt came from his not so good performance in the playoffs against Tennessee last year.
Right.
If I had to pick a place where the Packers could take advantage, it would probably have to be similar to that on the defense side of the ball. But over the top with their safeties, Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage. Really like how they've been using Savage specifically. It's going to be hard to trick a 43-year-old veteran in Tom Brady. But, we have Jair Alexander. Hopefully Kevin Keenum is able to play. And then you got those two guys over the top. And with Antonio Brown out, their secondary is going to have a big game. Nagler, where do you see the Packers being able to take advantage of Tampa Bay?
Well, you both touched on the defense, and I think that is kind of the undercard here. But I think it is probably the side of the ball that they have to win on to, win this game. I will say on the offensive side, I think they just got to stay patient with the running game, and I do think they can make some hay there. Stay ahead of the sticks. Don't get Aaron into 3rd and longs. They got into real trouble the last time around with that. And I know the Buccaneers ended the season ranked number 1 against the defense, but if you take a look at the last month into the playoffs, they have not stopped the run very well. The Saints got after him pretty well in the run game early on in that game.
Yeah,
I think if they stick with it, give them those body blows throughout the first half, that's going to pay dividends, not only in the sense of staying ahead of the sticks, allowing them to hopefully move down the field and score some points, but in the second half, that environment, it's going to be cold. Those hits, they pile up. You keep running at them. You keep going at them between the tackles. I don't want this tossed nonsense. I want between the tackles, make them bloody, make them bruised. I think that's the way to victory. And we saw some of that against the Rams. I think it's the same case this week. They got a really good front, run right at them.
Now, are you saying this is going to be a game where you have to be patient with 2 yards runs from Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon?
I think so. I mean, I think those 2-yard runs early in the game turn into 6-8-yard runs later in the game. Look no further than the game against Tennessee. That is precisely how A.J. Dillon started that game. Everyone remembers him doing Lambeau leaps and big runs and he bowling over guys. But what no one remembers is that his first 2 or 3 carries went for 2 yards. You know, you just got to stick with it. Just stick with it in this game. And I think you can wear them down because look, they want to get into those passing situations so Todd Bowles can let that, that blitz package loose. They had real success last time. The Packers had real troubles picking stuff up. I think take that out of their arsenal. And the best way to do that is to run the football.
Big B, what do you think should be, luckily or not, Matt LaFleur or the Packers head coach?
Luckily for everyone involved, including me.
Exactly. But what would you say should be the Packers' game plan on the offense side of the ball? Is this a game where Aaron should get 50 pass attempts, or is this a game where it should be kind of a balance like we saw with LA last week, where I think it was pretty equal with 30 pass attempts and 30 run attempts?
Oh, I'm gonna shoot.
You can just say some stupid answer, and as long as you say sound confident with it, people will think you're smart. So
that is the internet, 1,000%. Eddie Izzard used to say that all the time. 70% how you say it, 30% what you say.
Yep.
10%, and then 20%, and then 10% how you look.
Exactly. You got you're carrying the G. So what you got the 10% down. Let's hear the confidence in the supposed answer.
Okay, there we go. Run the offense through play action. There we go.
There you go.
There we go. There's a confidence. I would agree, though. I said in the pass up with the play action, Aaron Rodgers Packers offense is pretty much specializing in play action this year. And I would tend to agree. Get the run game going here, and then have Aaron Rodgers do his work. Let's talk about this because whenever it's conference championship time, this is a familiar place for Aaron Rodgers, friend of the show.
He is a friend of the show. That's the best part.
He truly is. There's
a regular viewer.
Exactly. There's always the talk that he chokes in the conference championship game, which and Big B posted this on his story, a list of all the possessions, the last 20 possessions for the Packers offense in conference championship games. And there's very few punts on there. There's few field goals. 2014-16, it was very hard to keep up with the Falcons offense. 2014, if I'm correct, he had a 16-0 lead, and then it didn't touch the ball after that.
Until right at the end, and then he got Jordy, and then he got in the position to kick the field goal, and that's when they went to overtime.
And then 2019, I don't remember Aaron Rodgers being at defensive tackle, but that wasn't his best of games either. So where do you think this idea comes from? Because it's so much, the playoffs. If he doesn't have 5 rings and he's a bust, or he doesn't deserve to be in conversation.
I know that's all nonsense. I do think, look, there is something to be said about Aaron needing to play better on this stage, but I will also say it's no mystery that yes, he has played in a bunch of NFC Championship games at the opposing stadium against what ipso facto follows, if you're in an NFC Championship game on the road, you're playing the best team in the conference.
Yeah.
So Aaron has gone up against the best, and sometimes has risen to the level. Sometimes he's been below par. The 2014 kind of performance is the one that I think there were opportunities missed there. He throws a real bad interception, not the one that he thought he had a free play that ended up in Richard Sherman's hands, but later he goes to Cobb, and that one really out of character. But at the same time, he's dealing with that calf issue, so you kind of understand it. And then, as you said, they got boat raced in two of the others, so it's hard to put that on Aaron. But I do think there is something to this fact that, here he is at home, biggest stage, finally gets one at home. I expect him to play really well in this game. I know he had his worst performance against the Buccaneers earlier in the season. The team is very, very different. Both teams are really, really different. But I do think it'll go a long way to erasing some of that chatter, which most of it is nonsense. But I think a strong performance in that environment, especially cold, it's going to be snowy early. It comes out, has a legendary kind of moment like Favre did in '96. I think it'll go a long way to erasing a lot of that.
Man, I remember watching that 1996 championship game. The biggest thing with talking about the rings is the fact that if he wins even two of those conference championship games, how much the narrative and story changes, and gets one more ring. It's 3 Super Bowl appearances there. Right. So this will be a big legacy game coming up for him, and we might look back at this 5 years from now, and it might be a lot more important than we think it is right now. So how much? I know he said in his press conference he's kind of treating it as a normal game, and I asked Big B about this on Friday, but how much of his legacy do you think is in his head? Because he cares about that stuff. He cares about his numbers.
He does. Yeah.
So what is how much does this mean for Aaron Rodgers' legacy?
I mean, obviously he's been really open about what not only the legacy means, playing for the Packers means, the fact that he's on the cusp of winning a 3rd MVP. A lot of guys would brush that off. He has not. He has really embraced it. I think after 16 whatever years, of course, what chatter matters and what doesn't. What lasts and what fades away. And he knows, these performances, these stages, these are the images that kind of get, imprinted on people's minds, and people remember these games much more than they remember, say, a week 6 performance against whoever. How you perform in an NFC Championship game when the whole football loving world is watching. That's what sticks with you. So I can't imagine for a second that it isn't in his head that he really wants to embrace the challenge, the moment, etc. I don't think he's going to make it bigger than it needs to be, but I do think he recognizes it. What was his phrase a number of years ago when he said, I'm totally paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact phrase, but when he said, the regular season, you win games, but the playoffs is your legacy. Your championships are your legacy. That's what people remember you by. So I think he knows that this is what people will remember. And I think he wants to erase some of that chatter you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and it will be interesting because I know earlier this year, and Pat McAfee kind of teased him about it this past week, the quarterback versus quarterback matchup is always so built up.
Yeah.
Even though they're not on the field at the same time at any point. But let's end it off here. We always love our bold predictions. But we kind of just go a different route where we say Dean Lowry's going to get 2 pick sixes.
Love it.
So
Northwestern's
start
finest.
off with Big B. What wild play, I guess you could call it a bold prediction, but what wild play do you see happening this week?
Well, it's not really wild, but Shannon Sullivan will have a pick 6.
Nice. Ooh. There you go. Unsung hero. That's what I'm talking about.
I would love Tramon Williams pick 6, but I'll go with we're going to go with Preston Smith. He's going to drop into coverage. It's going to look really stupid, like always. But then we'll forget of all the 3-man rushes when he takes one back. I'll BJ Raji.
I love it.
What one are you looking forward to, Nags?
We're going to get a tackle-eligible touchdown from Billy Turner on the goal line.
He deserves it.
I'm all in on that. That's what's going to happen.
All right. Well, we'll be watching the watch party. Hopefully, Corey doesn't spill any Gatorade this week.
Well, Corey's not going to be on the watch party. Corey will be in attendance. So I'll be watching the game with Perry Goldstein from Pax What She Said, and Corey will be in the bowl. He will be in attendance for an NFC Championship. He doesn't.
We better see.
If there's an NFC Championship game at Lambeau, Corey's there.
Yeah, so hopefully Corey gets his sign so he can blame it on the bleachers. Last week he looked pretty nervous before the game, but
He did.
we ended up winning. So we're gonna let you go though, Nagler. Get back to reminiscing your time in North Carolina School of the Arts, and hopefully you can get all of a dog in your free time before tomorrow's game.
Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, guys.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. All right, Aaron Nagler, folks. Thanks everybody for watching that. Let's see if we have anything else to talk about. I guess, had a pretty extensive preview of the Packers game tomorrow on our YouTube channel right now. It's up on there and on Spotify app podcasts. If you guys don't know, if you're just coming around to what we are doing, we do a game preview every Friday, a game review on every Monday. So we don't know what we're doing in the off season yet, but we went all off season doing it last year. So we'll see how it goes. Is there a bleep track to watch to the party to protect the underage years? No. I've been watching Packers games with my dad for 15 years, so that's enough. Snacks getting more snaps. That's a good question, Robin. Big B, what do you think was the reason that Snacks didn't get all those snaps that we were expecting against LA last week?
Hell, I don't know.
You're just like, ask Mike Benton. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think, I don't know how much you can look into it, but the Rams running a lot more hurry up. Paulie played a lot into that. They don't want to throw Snacks out there. And just maybe with how the Rams are down for 7 to 14 points all game. They're going to be running. They're going to do a lot more passing plays. So that's not exactly the place for Snacks to be. All right, let's see. Special teams, hopefully they don't blunder. The one thing I could dream of, like I have two dreams replaying in my head all week, is Aaron Rodgers having a great game, 4 touchdowns, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns after that. And Ndamukong Suh, like I have been having the most violent things you could imagine happening to Ndamukong Suh. I've been watching the Evan Dietrich Smith incident all week. I watched it last night when I was struggling to fall asleep, and I want to kill that man. Ban us, YouTube. All for the sake of Ndamukong Suh. Robin, this is a great question that I'm interested to try on. Returning kicks or punts. I guess this leads okay, we just signed another punt returner. Big B, how do you think Tavon has been doing at punt return so far? And could you see Tron being an easy replacement for him?
Well, Tavon has been doing things.
Yep.
Getting the ball, doing what he's doing. Pretty much it.
Yeah. His fumble doesn't help him out too much.
Yeah.
Not for his resume. And then, he hasn't done anything too explosive, but all it takes is that one. All it takes is Tavon Austin to return one tomorrow, and nothing matters from what he did earlier. Packers winning a 93 personal foul to punctuate. There we go. Love to see it. We were talking about it yesterday. If Suh, if he's getting a little grabby, a little antsy, if the ref throws that 15 yards, punch him. I'll take the all-sudden penalty if you have to punch Ndamukong Suh there. Offense side of the ball to recap here. It's going to be exciting to see the run game going. Like Nagler mentioned, I'll have to take a look there at their stats on what they allowed Latavius Murray, Alvin Kamara last week. And I think let's end it off with this, because we asked Andy Herman this last week. What is your one, confident analysis you got? Why should Packers fans feel confident going into this game, Big B? Why should they sleep well tonight?
What?
Why should the Packers fans sleep well tonight?
Because the game is at Lambeau Field. Aaron Rodgers is playing at an MVP type level, and the defense is playing phenomenal.
I think that's all you can say, because this game can be overanalyzed to the end of time. You can look at rosters. You can look at stats to the end of time. But all that matters in your head is that the Packers finally have an NFC Conference Championship game at Lambeau Field. And, Buccaneers fans, I was listening to a Bucs fan podcast last night, and they were saying, oh, you can't just say cold is a reason or playing at Lambeau Field is a reason the Packers win. I'm telling you right now, playing at Lambeau Field is going to be a reason why the Packers beat the Buccaneers tomorrow and move on to their 6th Super Bowl appearance. You heard it here first, folks. Make sure you check out all the content me and Big B are putting out on game day. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Any final words of wisdom for the Motley Crew, the fine folks here in the chat?
Jamal Williams is the GOAT.
Very inspirational. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Go Pack Go.